In this video, we are going to create a smart symbol and explain the main components. A smart symbol is a grouping of vector objects that share similar properties. Examples of properties include, but are not limited to, data sources, colors, and limits. Defining the group as a smart symbol enables the user to make bulk changes to individual objects using a single smart property. A smart property is bound to the properties of the individual objects using a smart binding. To explain the concepts of a smart symbol, smart property, and smart binding, I have created a 2D pump graphic. If we go to runtime, notice how I can change the speed of the pump by adjusting the dial. If the speed of the pump becomes too slow or too fast, the graphic turns red. Back in configuration mode, we see that my pump is made from a series of rectangles and paths. Each object has a separate color dynamic associated with it. Notice how the same data source drives each of the color dynamics. If we wanted to change the data source of the object, we would have to select each individual object and browse for a new tag. To avoid the repetition and save engineering time, we can convert my pump to a smart symbol. To convert a group to a smart symbol, select the group and go to the Dynamics tab of the ribbon. Notice the Convert Symbol button. We can also convert the group by right-clicking and selecting the Convert to Smart Symbol button from the context menu. When we convert the symbol, we are prompted with the Automatic Smart Binding options pop up. There are two configuration options. The first is Expose Data Sources as Smart Properties. This option finds each unique data source and creates a corresponding smart property. The smart property is then bound to the individual object's properties. The second option, Optimize Hierarchical Data Sources, identifies common hierarchical roots in the data sources and creates a smart property. It then appends the unique portion of the tag as part of the smart binding. The Optimize Hierarchical Data Sources option is covered more in depth in the Efficient Deployment of Smart Symbols video. For this example, I will press OK and create the smart symbol and launch the Edit Smart Properties pop-up. In the Edit Smart Properties window, we see that GraphWorx identified our data source and automatically generated a smart property. I will rename the property as Pump RPM. We can edit the property type by hitting the dropdown. GraphWorx will auto-select the property type when we create a new smart property. Other configuration options include default value, which gives the property an initial value. We can add a description to our smart property or define a group to organize the properties in the property grid. We can also define overrides for advanced customization scenarios. These scenarios are outside the scope of this lesson. We can add and remove additional members in the dialog. For this example, I will keep the single property. If we drill down to the individual object and go to the color dynamic, we can see our data source field has a golden marker to the left of it and it is grayed out. This indicates the property is bound to a smart property. If we go back to the top level symbol and change the motor RPM field to point to the second floor pump, we can see the change reflected on all of our individual objects. Adding new and editing existing properties and their bindings is covered in its own video. In summary, smart symbols are a group of vector images that share common elements. The elements can be any of the GraphWorx properties and can be bound to smart properties. Smart binding properties save the user from editing individual components that make up their symbols.